Hey guys, we're two chubby sisters. And today's video is going to be something we've never done before.
It's a first for our channel.
We are going to do a movie review.
Yes.
And as you may have guessed, it has to do with Harry Potter. We are House Hufflepuff here.
Yes.
So, as most of you may know, the new Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore just came out. So if you haven't seen the movie, spoilers.
Yes.
That's what we're going to be discussing today.
So turn off if you haven't seen it yet. You don't want any spoilers. But do come back after you've seen it and see how we can compare notes maybe. So yeah, we're going to dive into a review of what we thought of the movie and a little bit about the whole thing. And
because kind of a controversial, there's been
a lot of controversy around the Fantastic Beasts movies. But we'll dive into a little bit of that today too. So
first,
well, I thought it was good overall.
I thought, was it a great movie? Well, I mean, it wasn't, I don't know if I would say great, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah. It's not my favorite in the three of the Fantastic Beasts movies, but overall, I think it was a good movie.
But I feel like the stuff that I didn't think was great was stuff that they really couldn't help.
Yeah. It was kind of stuff that was out of their control. It was, they did the best with what they had. Mm-hmm. So obviously, a lot of the cast is returned, like Eddie Redmayne,
as Newt Scamander,
Jude Law as Albus Dumbledore, Dan Fogler.
Yes, Fogler.
Fogler as Jacob Kowalski. Alison Sudol as Queenie.
Caleb Turner.
Yeah.
As Theseus, Scamander, Newt's older brother.
And there's a new character introduced, or some new people that, some people that kind of were in the other ones, but they weren't like major characters, but they're more prominent in this one. One of the newer characters is Laylee, which I enjoyed her character.
I always forget what it's short for. Something Laylee.
I think it's Eulalie Hicks.
Eulalie, yeah.
Obviously one of the characters that was kind of missing, and she's only in it for it's almost like a cameo, was Catherine Watterson, who plays Tina Goldstein, and
she was such a major person in the first two movies, but she was barely, I bet she was less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Total that she was in
the entire,
and this was almost a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, and you don't see her till the very end, which is kind of But this one, I mean, it picks up, about I think they said it was a year.
It's a year after the second one.
But
some noticeable things so the end of the last one, you find out that Credence Barebone is actually Aurelius Dumbledore.
He's a Dumbledore.
And over the course of the year that's in between the two movies, he's kind of been fed a lot of lies
from Grindelwald.
About his parentage, about
basically they abandoned you, they left you alone.
Right. I don't know if it was ever made really clear that they kind of wanted him to think that Albus was his father.
I don't know, you kind of wonder how he was Dumbledore, but they explain that in this movie.
Yeah, that his father is Aberforth.
Yeah, which is basically, it's Albus Dumbledore's
brother.
nephew.
Oh, well, yeah. Aurelius is.
Yeah.
Or Credence, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
The thing that we do know about him that you've known since the first one is that he's an obscurial, which is kind of, I don't know what you would really call it. It's like energy that he can't really control, and magic, and it just kind of explodes out of him. And by this movie, you find out that he is dying.
Yes.
And how you kind of find out about that? Well, they say that there's a phoenix following him everywhere, and it's because the phoenix knows that he's dying.
He's dying, yeah. You obviously, this one is more about Dumbledore and him and Grindelwald's relationship. And they go into actually talk about more of the Dumbledore family. They explain his sister, Ariana, and how she is actually just
she's an obscurial, just like Credence
is. Yeah.
Well, you kind of find out too that what happened to her. Like you see, if you go back and watch the first Harry Potter movies, there's when they're going back and forth between, I think is it Hogsmeade that they're going, wherever Aberforth's inn is. They're going between there and Hogwarts. There's a secret passage, and the secret passage is behind a portrait of a woman or a teenage girl, and the teenage girl is Ariana Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And you honestly, they say she's dead, but I don't know that she actually is.
It's like, yeah, because the more you think about it, because it's like, they're like, she just disappeared. Like, so they don't actually know.
In this movie, in Secrets of Dumbledore, they tell you that Dumbledore is explaining that he was going to run off with Grindelwald because they were together, and his brother didn't approve of that. And so they were arguing, and spells were being thrown at each other, and as that was going on, their sister Ariana was coming down the stairs, probably because she could hear the fighting. And what they don't know if it was one of Albus's spells or one of Aberforth's spells, but one of the spells hit her and she just disappeared. She's gone. They're like, he literally says, we were there, and then she was just gone.
So I think both of them live with that guilt. Always, because they just like, they don't know what happened to her. She's just gone.
I think, but it kind of made it seem like Aberforth thinks that it is Albus. I think he blames her, or blames him for
her disappearing. Because there's this kind of tension between the two brothers. Like,
because there's a point where they're having a meal, and Albus is like, and we're gonna always refer to, like, most people refer to him as Dumbledore, but we're gonna refer to him as Albus during this because you are dealing with the whole Dumbledore family.
Yeah.
Albus is eating food that Aberforth made. He's like, oh, you made her favorite recipe. And he's kind of going on about that. And Aberforth gets mad and is like basically looks like he's mad at him and it's his fault. And like, stop talking about her. And
so like I said, obviously this one's called Secrets of Dumbledore. So you find more about the Albus Dumbledore and like his family and everything. Which I think for me it was interesting to like actually know his history. Like,
I kind of thought it was just going to be about him, but it's really about his whole family.
Yeah. And obviously they go into him and Grindelwald's relationship, which they were lovers. He straight up says, he goes, I was in love with you.
The very first scene of this entire movie, they're sitting and they're kind of in a restaurant and they're discussing it, and Grindelwald's kind of like, muggles, blah, blah, blah. And, so Albus is like, you know, I was going to follow you wherever because I was in love with you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how, and then that's how you find out about, they have, a lot of people are calling it the unbreakable vow, but what they had between them was not the unbreakable vow, which is, if you watch the Harry Potter series, when they went, my mind just went blank.
The bloods.
When they went, Draco, there we go. When they want Draco to kill Albus, Dumbledore, that they want him, if he's not able to go through with it, they make Snape take the unbreakable vow that he'll do it if Draco is not able to. And you find out that there is not any magic, there is nothing in the world that can break an unbreakable vow. No. But as you find out in this movie, it is the one that they make is breakable. They call it a blood pact.
Yeah.
And Albus has this thing. It's around his.
It's like it's almost like a necklace, but it's like it goes like it wraps around his arm,
and it goes all the way up, and it's around his neck.
And it like he even thinks about hurting Grindelwald. It like basically almost starts strangling him,
because he at some point he's trying to explain to Theseus, Newt's brother, that I can't make a move against him, which they talk about that in the second movie.
But yeah, he's like, I can't.
He goes, I can't explain this right now, but I can't make a move against him. And we were all just assuming, at least I was assuming it was just because
of his feelings for him.
Yeah, like that's what I was assuming.
He couldn't bring himself to do it and everything, but no, it's because of this blood vow, basically.
I feel like, too, that he knows what has to be done. He knows that Gellert Grindelwald has to be killed, but he still loves him. Yeah. I feel like he, even though all this is going on, I do.
Because at one point, obviously Grindelwald was not a bad person. Like they both were like had the same view of like magic, and they had the same vision of where they wanted to take the Wizarding World and everything like that. But then somewhere along the line, Grindelwald strayed away and went
Which it makes you wonder what happened to him.
I want to know if they'll. I mean,
like
this is supposedly the last one. They said I think is going to be the last one in the Fantastic Beasts series. But it would be interesting to find out like how Grindelwald went.
And here's another thing: if you haven't watched the movies, this is a complete spoiler. At the end, Grindelwald kind of disappears, and you don't know what happened to him. And they're literally like, Albus, make sure you go after him. Make sure you get him. And he's
because obviously at the end that blood vow is broke, so he can go after him now.
Should we talk about that next? This is how you kind of find out that it's not an unbreakable vow, that it's the blood pact, because there's a point where Credence or Aurelius finally knows the truth about everything about Aberforth being his father, and that he wasn't abandoned. There was...
Well, through the movie, there's like a communication between him and Aberforth through like you'll see mirrors. It's kind of like how like when you like
fog up a mirror
and you can like how you write on it or whatever. Like the mirror at his like little pub thing, images were like coming up, and like Credence was like in his mirror in his bathroom, whatever, it would come up, and that's how they were kind of started to communicate.
But there's like a mirror in the pub, I think, too. That
and he like was writing messages. They were writing messages to each other and everything like that. And like I think at one point he's like, "I want to come home" or something like that. And that's kind of like.
Well, there comes a point where Aurelius or Credence finally chooses to
realize.
He wants to go home. I think he kind of feels like he can finally go home. And so Grindelwald goes to kill him, and at the same time, Albus tries to throw a protective spell, and the meeting of those two spells is kind of what breaks the blood pact. And this is where this is young Albus Dumbledore, and this is kind of, it seemed like he didn't know that could happen.
Yeah.
But it's kind of what breaks that, and so that's why I think at the end they're like, go get him, because now he can.
Yeah, because now he can. But then too, you got to backtrack to, because obviously he didn't think he could be the one that fought him, fight Grindelwald. So he kind of gets like, the one person he could count on is Newt Scamander, who is the main character from the previous Fantastic Beasts. Like he's, Eddie Redmayne, who I absolutely love Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander. I think he's played this character
adorably awkward.
Yeah, it works so well, and he plays his character so well, and I love him as Newt Scamander. And also Newt Scamander's a Hufflepuff, which we're Hufflepuff. So, but he kind of gets like this whole little
we call it a ragtag team of misfits,
or that's the original Dumbledore's Army. Yeah, because obviously this is a prequel to Harry Potter,
and it's actually Albus who puts them together.
He brings them all together, but like because Grindelwald can obviously see like the future and see what people are going to do. He's like, basically, how did he describe it? He's like,
we have to, because Grindelwald, that's
have to
kind of his specialty.
Yeah,
we have to make so few possibilities happening that he can't
figure it out,
or we have to make so many that it confuses him and he can't. So he doesn't know which one's going to happen.
He brings his team together, and it's Newt Scamander. He brings in Jacob Kowalski, which is a Muggle.
The Muggle from the first two movies.
And he brings in Theseus Scamander, who is, obviously Newt's. And he brings in Laylee, who is a professor from the American Ilvermorny school. And who, she's kind of like a new big character in this. I think her character is great. She like...
I just thought she was amazing.
I really enjoyed her character. And then also Bunty, who is Newt's like.
I don't know how much she was in the second. Wait, no.
I gotta think back because like how much she was in the other ones. She's basically his like, I don't want to say secretary, but she's like.
I don't remember if it was in the first one or the second one, but there's a point where there's a big tank of water in Newt's bag. And there's that woman that's running around trying to help him take care of the animals. That's Bunty, and she kind of becomes a much bigger character in this one.
And there's also Yusuf Kama, who is
he was in the second one. He is Leda Lestrange's
brother.
Half brother,
yeah. So that's
And
kind of the team
that Grindelwald killed Lita in
Yeah.
the second movie.
So that's his team and everything that he kind of puts together, and he gives them all a task, but like none of them know what the other one is supposed to do. So that way they can't like Grindelwald can't figure out and everything like that.
And what's cool about Yusuf, Kama, is that he kind of becomes this series Severus Snape,
Yeah,
where he's kind of playing the double agent role.
because he goes into Grindelwald's camp and like acts like he's part of like.
And Grindelwald kind of suspects him of that at first, but then
Yeah.
he kind of.
I think he thinks he's convinced him that he's correct and Dumbledore Albus is wrong.
Wrong, yeah.
I think, and he thinks that he's convincing him of that.
And for a second,
All the way up until almost the end, you honestly
You're kinda
think that
like,
that's
oh,
true. Like, he
crap.
thinks he's switched sides. Like, because Grindelwald actually plays, like, he tries to remove the images or, like, his memories of his sister
like he
and
pulled,
everything
you know,
like
like
that.
how Dumbledore did in the Harry Potter movies, and he was keeping them in his sieve, whatever, and you could look at them. He pulled them all the memories of his sister out and just
Yeah.
flicked them into the air.
And I kind of like, too, how in this one, Theseus Scamander, which is Newt's, because, like, in the previous ones, like, you think that he's, like, the straight-laced, like, we go by the code, we go, like, this is...
Everything's by the book.
And, you know, we do what's best for, you know, the school, you know, like, Hogwarts and the Ministry
of Magic
and everything like that. And in this one, and you kind of don't really... You kind of wonder about him and Newt's, like, brother, like, their relationship. But I think in this one, their relationship really comes full circle and, like...
And I kind of think what Theseus goes through in the second one kind of nudged him closer to Dumbledore's army.
Yeah. But there's one of the funniest scenes of this whole movie is Theseus gets taken in by...
When they go to Berlin, and Theseus gets taken because his dumb butt tries to arrest a bunch of people, and they're like, okay.
Yeah,
and
right.
they
basically
kind of
throw him into this, like, jail type thing.
And it's this big, deep, like, cave with a huge hole.
And it's kind of funny, because, like...
I looked them up, too. They're called Manticore.
Manticore? Okay, so there's these little, like... I don't know what they are. They're, like, crab, lobster-looking things?
They're called Manticore.
Manticore. So they're, like, these little... We're sitting here going like this because...
They look like crabs, but they're, like, they have scorpion tails and stuff like that. They said that they kind of didn't make them look like they did previously, like they changed the look of them, but that's essentially what they're supposed to be, is Manticore.
So, like, Newt's going in to try to get his brother out of this jail.
And he's a magizoologist.
So obviously he knows, he's like, you recreate what they do. So he's literally going along doing this little crab dance.
Because they're essentially, their behaviors are like lemurs. Like, they just follow along with whatever.
So, like, there's, like, the big one down the middle that's, like, the big, like, mama, I guess, or something like that. And there's all these little ones. And his brother's hanging upside down because he's, like, roped up. And you just see her coming, you see Newt scoot along.
Because he's afraid that these things are going to try to attack him.
So he's like, if I just mimic what they do, they're just going to follow me and not bother me. Which it works, essentially.
They're like maybe this big. They're not real big, but there's 100 of them.
But the whole scene is just hysterical.
It's hysterical because he's awkward already.
Yeah.
And then he's just...
It's so funny. Like, the whole scene, like, literally the whole theater, like, was just laughing at that whole thing. And he ends up obviously getting them out and everything, and it was a close call. But, it was, that whole scene was hysterical. So there is good laughter in this movie, too. So, but yeah. Then, okay, so, like, the whole, okay, we covered, like, you know, obviously Dumbledore's family history. The new characters, obviously, Laylee. I love how her character, like, she's very strong-willed, but I don't know, some people had, like, mixed reviews on her on some of the reviews we watched. I think she did a good job. I loved how her character is, and, like, we were discussing the way she talks. People had a problem with the way she talked.
They thought that she was doing a really bad English accent.
But she's not supposed to be English. Like,
I didn't think she was trying to do... It didn't sound to me like she was trying to do an English accent.
Were they talking about, like, British English, or are they talking about, like, American English?
No, an English accent,
like
as in
British,
like England.
Or, like, England accent. Okay. Because, like, to me, I don't think she was supposed to be, because she's from...
She's a teacher.
She's supposed to be American, so she's not supposed to be, like, English.
She sounded like somebody from New York in the 1920s or
That's 30s. The thing is, she had a very...
Like
the way she talked was very 1920s, like, that era, like, the way people talked then. I think she did a great job. Yeah. I thought she was great. And obviously, do you want to go on the whole Queenie and Jacob thing. Like, Jacob obviously loves
I
Queenie.
adore Jacob.
He's adorable, and what I loved about this whole thing is this is the real side that you see of Dumbledore, how he's very equality of everybody, and how he wants everyone in the Wizarding world and the Muggle world to just coexist and get along, and that everyone is
thinks
important.
that everybody should have a fair
chance
shake at everything.
And that he generally tries to want to give everyone
the same
opportunities and like see the best in people and like everything like that. And he really encourages Jacob, I think, through this whole thing. Like, yeah, you're a Muggle, but you're still like, you're basically like family. Like, you're still like a good friend.
That doesn't mean that you can't be a part of our world,
and we can't be, close and everything like that. And obviously, one of the big things that they had a problem with was because Queenie's a witch and he's a Muggle, and Grindelwald did not want the Muggle.
Well, that makes me wonder. Like, okay, was that like illegal at one time
I
for
don't know if
Muggles and witches or wizards to marry? Because that kind of makes me wonder about Credence's birth.
Because his mother was a Muggle.
Credence's mother was a Muggle, and so is that why?
It might have been.
He was kind of like sent away or whatever. I don't know what happened. They don't really explain much about what happened. To his mother, but
and also too, like when you first see Jacob again, like he's back living in Queens, New York, and Queens,
because he says he's from Queens.
And he's obviously, if you guys remember from the first one, he was going to get a loan he wants his bakery. He's working in his
the second one, at the end of the second one, his bakery is up and running and it's successful.
But he's still, you can tell there's just this sadness in him, and he's having remembrance of like he's having flashes, like he thinks that Queenie's there, and when he knows she's not, because she obviously left with Grindelwald and she's part of Grindelwald's people, and everything like that, and
his bakery at this point is just all run down, and it's,
and everything, and then obviously Laylee comes and tricks him.
I'm wondering, because they kind of made it seem like she's been trying to convince him for a while
that maybe try to get him to come and help them, but like
Dumbledore sent Laylee to get Jacob,
and then like he didn't really want to get back. I don't think he really wanted to at first want to get back into the Wizarding world because of everything that happened, and he lost Queenie because of it and everything like that. But and
for whatever reason, the obliterate spell that they tried to do on him to erase his memories of it didn't work.
Yeah,
like almost like he was meant.
He was meant to be
be a part of the Wizarding world.
Yeah, he was supposed to be, and then it's really cute because Dumbledore gives him a wand, and he thinks it doesn't actually have any power. But there's a scene where
it's a mind thing.
Yeah, it's more of a mind thing. Like he thinks he did something with it, but it's really it isn't. But yeah, it's cute. And he actually asked him. He's like, "Can I keep this?" Like it's mine.
Like, yeah, you deserve it.
Yeah, you deserve it. Yeah, and everything like that. That was really a cute moment, and I really love how like him and Newt are still like they're like best friends. They really are like best friends, and. In the end, obviously Queenie, okay, another spoiler, Queenie and him, the ending is their wedding, and Newt's like his best man.
Newt is his best man, so obviously they stayed best friends.
Yeah, and everything, and this is where Tina comes back.
Well, they show her for a second.
They show her for a second when, because...
We'll go into that in a second, too, about that.
Because, okay, so, like...
They're picking a new leader of the Wizarding world.
That's the basis of, like... The underlying basis of the whole movie is they're trying to pick the new, like, I don't know what you call it, like the president or the head.
I just call it the leader.
The leader of the Wizarding world, and at this point there's only two, right?
Yeah, there's Santos and Lou.
I think
are the two people that are running, and when it starts off, obviously we know from the second movie that Grindelwald is a wanted man, is a fugitive, and suddenly he gets cleared of all charges and.
He's gonna come up and
they're like, oh, he's gonna stand as one of the possible people to run or to lead the Wizarding world.
So one of the first scenes with Newt is him arriving to because what they call it, is it a Chillin?
A Chillin, yeah.
Chillin is.
We'll put that up on the screen.
Is getting ready to give birth, and these are very rare, fantastic beasts, and so for these to come out, and they're supposed to be very like I don't want to say noble, but like they're like. Though they say they can detect pure-hearted intentions.
They
or something
say
like
if you're pure of heart and all your intentions are very like you're not perfect, but you're intentions are pure and you're a good person, that they'll bow to you.
Yeah.
And they can see the future.
Yes, they can see the future. So, they're getting ready, because one of these is getting ready to be born. And I think I don't know if it was intentions for Newt to take it to when they were picking the leader originally, or if that just happened because of what Grindelwald did.
I wonder, I'm almost wondering if Newt knew that they were going to try to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And so he went there with the intentions of protecting it.
And then, so, Credence and, like, all of Grindelwald's goons basically show up and they take the baby. Well, and they basically kill the mom. And so, like, at this point, they hurt Newt and, like, they knock him out. And then he gets back to the mother and she's dying, which is a really sad moment. And then you come to realize that there was actually twins. Chillins. So Newt has one, and then Credence took the other one to Grindelwald.
But they have no idea that there's a second one.
Yeah, they have no idea there's a second one. And then Grindelwald ends up killing it, and then bring it back to life so that he can control it.
This is graphic, sorry. He slits its throat and lets it bleed all over, and then in the puddle of blood, he sees, like, the future of what could possibly happen.
Yeah. And then he ends up
enchanting the poor thing.
Enchanting it, bring it back to life, basically enchanting it. Is this so that way? Because basically they said for this election, if it bows in front of him, that's going to be their new leader, because they know
that's the way it's always been.
Then so he enchanted it so that way it'll bow in front of him, so that way he will win the election. And so basically he was trying to control the whole thing. And then his whole agenda is to say that way that they can just basically destroy all Muggles. He just thinks the Muggle world.
He's like, now time for a war with the Muggles.
Yeah, and everything like that. Well, obviously Dumbledore and his whole group are trying to get there to stop this and everything like that. And then they end up coming. This was neat. So she ends up Bunty, who is obviously Newt's assistant. Her task, which none of them knew what she was up to.
She literally got a note from Dumbledore
saying what she was supposed to do, and then it literally just incinerated in her hands. And so she goes into this.
She's like, okay.
She takes Newt's suitcase, the one that he opens up.
The look on Newt's face when she's like, you can't know everything. And she takes it, and he's just kind of like,
that's his babies. Like, those are his, like, that's the door to his whole, where all the Fantastic Beasts that he has and everything, his whole world is in that suitcase. And that's where you see Tina a lot, because there's a picture of Tina, like, because like in the first two, there's like a lot of romantic interest between Tina and Newt, and you always just see her picture. That's pretty much all she's in the whole movie is just her picture. And they explain at one point, because I think Jacob asked, "Oh, well, what about Tina? Why isn't she here?" And they're like, "Oh, because she's now the head of like." Is it Ilvermorny?
She's the not Ilvermorny. She's the American Ministry of Magic. Which I forget what they call it, something else. But I can't remember.
She's basically the head of that.
She's the head or the head of.
So
the
she's too busy with that to deal with anything else, basically.
But anyways, and this is where the review of this all comes in. Like, I didn't understand why. It's been a whole year. Why is she not out
looking for Queenie?
We're looking for her sister,
right? Like,
your sister went off with Grindelwald, and you're not trying to find her and get her back, and. Right? Well, maybe she's dead. I don't,
Yeah. But anyways, get back to, like, Bunty. Like, so she takes Newt's suitcase, and she goes to a place
like
to get...
luggage maker,
And basically, she's like, I need you to make half dozen of these. It looks exactly like this.
And he goes to open it.
And then she's like, no.
The inside doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. The inside doesn't matter. Like, you can't open this suitcase. So she ends up getting, like, and so before they go, so it's coming out to the big end, like... what's going to happen, and each of them take a suitcase. They don't know which one actually has the chilling in it.
This is part of the confusing
part. So that way Grindelwald can't see, because they don't know who has the actual suitcase.
They don't even know.
Yeah. And so they're going up to this thing. All of them are going up to where the vote's going to be casted, or basically they're going to say who wins. And Grindelwald's people keep stopping each of them and taking their suitcases. And it's so cool because each suitcase, when it opens, something happens out of it that correlates with the person who had the suitcase. Which is funny because they just randomly picked them. I don't know if it became fully enchanted when they each grabbed it. Yeah. Because like Jacob's, a bunch of pastries. He just started pouring out of it. And then Laylee's, hers, because everything she touches does magic. Okay.
Sorry guys.
We had a little bit of camera problems there. So her thing is always when she has magic, like books of pages come out, and like that's
if it cut off before that, we'll kind of put on there what was going on.
So books of her pages, and so like when her suitcase opened, like pages started flying out.
Yeah, because all her magic kind of revolves around books.
And then Theseus, his is like all the Quidditch things start coming out of it. It was really, I thought that part was cool.
Was it Teddy and Pickett? Don't they come out of Newt's? Or
I don't know.
Newt's, no, Newt's gets taken from him.
Yeah, Newt's gets taken.
Well, he gets almost all the way up there.
Yeah,
and one of Grindelwald's people takes it from him.
So speaking of those, though, a lot of some familiar Fantastic Beasts show up. Obviously, the Bowtruckle Pickett, which is Newt's little
his little leafy green
is there, and the Niffler Teddy, he's in this one too. Those are the two main ones, and they're
Nifflers, that they like shiny objects, and
they look like a platypus kind of, but like a furry, like I don't know, like similar to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cute. But they're both back in this one too, which they're kind of the like fan favorite, I think, of the Fantastic Beasts. So yeah, but they get to the final thing, and obviously they stop Grindelwald, and
they bring the real one, and they figure out the real Quillen are chilling. And
it's so funny because the real chilling, they're like, okay, so who's he gonna pick? And he ends up picking Dumbledore.
He ends up going up,
and Dumbledore's like no. Albus is like, no. I'm honored, but
it's like, because it's almost ready to bound. He's like, no, don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah, he's like, I'm honored, but I have to kindly decline. And then they end up picking Santos, yeah, and everything. But obviously they edited it so they could do another one, but I don't know, because they're saying they're not doing very well. But I think
the first one did pretty well. Yeah. The second one was considered a flop, but there was a lot of controversy. A lot of stuff came out about everybody involved in it.
Yeah.
When the second one came out, so that was a lot of the reason, I think, why that one did. And a lot of people said the storyline was a little more confusing
in the second one.
This
one is obviously it just came out this weekend, so it's not like, I mean, maybe if you get a little bit more time, it may pick up a little bit. But
I feel like we're in a day and age where people don't go to the movies as much as they used to.
Because everything's so streaming, so and you can have access from your homes. A lot of people don't go out to the movies as much, and also there's still a little bit of controversy around this one, which we're gonna get into a little bit of the controversies now. So obviously one of the controversies is the writer of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling.
And she's the screenwriter and producer of the Fantastic Beasts series.
And they actually removed her as the head writer, I guess, from this one.
Yeah,
which helped a little bit, but one of the biggest reasons is because she's made a lot of transphobic
remarks, and then when she was asked to kind of apologize for him, she's like, "No, I stand by what I said." And
it hurts because, especially when you're because we're LGBTQ plus allies, we very much support the community, we very much support the trans community, and when you have such a franchise like Harry Potter that you so loved so much
for so many years
and and it meant a lot, and especially since it seems like there's a lot of LGBTQ plus support in a lot of these characters, and a lot of these characters that you thought were, and then to have the writer come out and
she's like, "Oh, I'm an LGBTQ ally, but I just don't."
She doesn't. It's just basically the trans.
It's like,
and so a lot of the main characters from this, like Eddie Redmayne was a big one who spoke out against her. He's because he's very much a very big supporter of the trans community. He's played trans characters in movies, and he was very upset with this. But he still loved the character. He still loves the franchise. He still loves the fan base. He still, and it's hard because you are kind of torn.
Well, and then Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter, in an interview said, don't let what she said or how she feels ruin what these movies meant to you, because a lot of people said that these movies and this whole world helped them through bad times, because you could always find a character that you could relate to, because there's that's the thing, is that there's such a diverse group of characters in all these movies that it's like it just kind of blows your mind that she could think that way.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to sit there and think that you could support LGBTQ plus community, but just exclude one part. It doesn't make any sense.
Exclude the T?
Yeah, exclude the T. Like, she doesn't, you know, and obviously because especially in Fantastic Beasts, Dumbledore is a gay character. Him and Grindelwald were lovers. They were gay characters.
He straight up says in the first scene,
yeah,
I was in love with you.
and everything like that. And so, obviously that cast a dark cloud over the franchise and these movies, and which is unfortunate because it's not any of these actors' faults. It's not, you know, the people,
All these people that
worked
put so
hard
much time
and, you know, effort into making these movies. It's not their fault, and they shouldn't be punished because of what she says.
And I agree with Daniel Radcliffe. Like, don't let, because it means a lot. These series means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Like, it makes your life happy, you know,
Yeah.
this stuff, and it's just a shame.
It's a shame that it did cast such a dark light, and a lot of people thought with this one too, got a little political for the Secrets of Dumbledore. Yeah, it did, but at the same time, I felt like it gave a backstory too. So I think I focused more on the Dumbledore's backstory than the political part of it.
Yeah.
But like
another kind of controversy,
obviously, and it's currently going on, as many of you are probably watching. Like,
and this one kind of started unfolding when the second movie came out. After, like, when it came out, so it was too late for them to recast or do anything like that.
Yeah, and obviously, it's currently his court case is going on right now, and that's Johnny Depp, who was the original Grindelwald. Well, technically,
now it's Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen. Which Mads, I think he did great for what he was thrown at.
Yeah,
you know, like he literally. I actually read he had 2 days to decide. They basically, Johnny Depp, which there's a lot of controversy around. Johnny Depp was fired. Johnny Depp was asked to leave, but he chose to leave. Like he said,
didn't want there to be a big fuss,
and he didn't want it to, like, what was happening to him in his personal life and what was his controversies to affect anyone in the movie or in the movie itself. So he chose to step back. And Mads Mikkelsen had 2 days. They're like, we need to know, do you want to do this? And he chose to do it, and he actually, you know, he apologized to Johnny Depp, and he's like, he would really like to sit and talk to him about the character and everything like that someday, and he's like, I wish I could have kind of talked to him before I started filming, but there was not much time. It was kind of like, everything was rushing, he was very chaotic, and they just kind of had to run into it. But obviously Johnny Depp's controversy is his assault accusations from his ex-wife, and
my personal belief, this is my opinion. I think she is the abuser.
I think she's the abuser, and
I'm not saying that anybody in the situation is 100% innocent, but I just feel like
she basically destroyed him. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate.
For her own personal gain.
And you know, for me, like, watching the whole Secrets of Dumbledore, every time Mads was
Nicholson.
every time he was on screen, I'm like, it should have been Johnny. It should have been. But I don't
feel bad because he did.
Like I said, I feel bad though because he did do a great job. Like he made the character. He kept the essence of Grindelwald, like the whole like evilness of him, and made it his own. And they purposely did it that way because at first I was like, he doesn't have like the platinum like white hair and paler skin like Johnny Depp's character did, but they purposely did that because they wanted it to be the same character. But they wanted it noticeably that it's not Johnny Depp. And it's him. Like, you gotta let him have his own, you know.
And he took a huge pay cut compared to what Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp. There's kind of missing things, but it was either between $10 and $16 million.
Yeah, and he still got paid for it because he started to film this one. But when they asked him this, because he lost a lawsuit
over in England
about the accusations of an article that they wrote about the accusations, and that's what spiraled into them wanting him to
go. Mads Mikkelsen only got paid like $500,000.
Yeah, he didn't get paid hardly anything compared to what, and Johnny Depp maybe,
which, you know, like $100 million or $500,000. Hello,
that to us that's a lot, but you know, but these controversies have kind of put a dark cloud over
another dark cloud over,
you know, and which is unfortunate. And I know a lot of people are wanting to boycott this one, and they're saying because it's supporting Johnny Depp. There's another reason why they want to boycott this one. Well, also yes, and that's because of Ezra Miller. You guys, if you guys are Credence, he plays Credence, or Aurelius Dumbledore, he has had multiple assault accusations against him. He's been in and out of jail. He was
literally like arrested like 2 days before the movie came out.
Yeah, like in I think Hawaii.
He was sneaking into people. Like he was
he broke into someone's thing, I think, and robbed them or something. Like he just got arrested and like he's assaulted, like literally assaulted people. And
he chokeslammed some girl.
Yeah, and like so a lot of people didn't want to support this movie because he was in it. And it's just like every time something like this happens in movies, I always feel bad for the other actors because they're innocent and they didn't do anything wrong.
Well, and then I think the other reason that people were mad was because they made Johnny Depp step back.
Yeah.
But they let him stay in the movie.
Yeah.
And because some of Ezra Miller's accusations go back
since the first movie. Yeah. And because it's all under Warner Brothers, I think it is.
Yeah.
And because of also Johnny Depp's ex-wife, Amber Heard, is part of, because she's in the Aquaman movies. They're like, why is it that they're allowing her and Ezra to stay?
Is that Warner Brothers?
I believe it's Warner Brothers. Because I think it was like.
Does Warner Brothers do all the DC ones?
I think so. I don't know for sure. But like, they're like, why is it that they're letting all these other actors who abuse people stay, but Johnny Depp had to step down and he didn't. There's no actual proof that he actually did it, or like the people don't believe that.
Like it doesn't. I don't know if they asked her to step down from Aquaman 2 and she said no.
Yeah, that's what part of me too wonders if.
Because I think she said I'm under contract, so
would they have
like,
allowed him to do this movie? I wonder if he had said no and said no, I'm going to stay. I don't know, but I whether you want to see it or not, that's obviously up to you. But if you're to this point in the video, I hope that you have seen it because otherwise you just got a whole bunch of spoilers because we basically just told you the whole movie. Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great movie. I liked the backstory of Dumbledore. I liked that we got to find out more about Albus. And because, I mean, in the movies, you only know of him as, like, this old professor that, helped Harry and, in the Harry Potter films. But now you really get to see... And I think... I absolutely love Jude Law as Dumbledore. I think he's a great Dumbledore.
Yep.
I think he nailed that, and
He absolutely nailed the kindness and compassion without... It was effortless. It seemed very effortless that he just...
Yeah.
But there is a little Easter egg in there for, like, the diehard Harry Potter fans. There's a point where... I'm assuming that Credence or Aurelius passed not long after...
Because at the end of the movie, he was barely there.
Like, his dad, Aberforth, had to, like, help him up and basically carry him out of there because he couldn't even walk. And he's sitting there, and they're kind of just having, like, a short conversation. And Aberforth is like, you ready to go home? And he's like, I can come home. It's not, don't quote me exactly, but he goes, always. And it's just like, and if you're part of if you are a Potterhead in any way, you know what that word means.
Yes.
And we're like sitting in the theater and he goes, always. And we're all like, oh my God.
Like we both kind of looked at each other
like they really just did that to us.
I think there's little there is a couple different references back to.
For those of you who aren't as acquainted with Harry Potter, there's a point where in the Harry Potter series where Dumbledore says to Snape, Severus, after all this time, and Severus goes, always. And it's in reference to him being in love with
Lily Potter,
Harry Potter's mom, and it's a whole rip my heart out thing.
Yeah, it was like I said, like she said, it was a moment where as soon as it said, me and her both turned to each other, like
they just did that.
They really just did that to us.
And there's a lot of references, like, when Laylee's suitcase busts open, and some of the books are the Monster Book of Monsters from the original Harry Potter series. They're just like running around trying to eat everybody. So there's a lot of little Easter eggs in there for the true Harry Potter fans.
Too, a little bit, because when they're talking to her, and she talking about how when she her 5th year students.
Oh yeah, because Newt wrote the book Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and she makes her 5th years read. Oh, every year she makes her 5th year students read
that book. And when she tells him, he's kind of like,
oh,
he's kind of like a little problem.
But yeah, I think she's a little bit of a fangirl for him.
She is a little bit of fangirl of Newt, and I don't know. And then too, they kind of hint at Bunty being. I think she always has liked Newt.
She kind of has a thing for Newt.
But at the end, you can tell that she knows
that she's not
He
it
loves
for him.
Tina. Like, that's just the way it is.
I love that she's always got two of the little baby nifflers with her.
Yeah.
They're little like, they're kind of black and white like a cow, like a black and white cow, but they're just two little baby nifflers, and they're like usually sitting on her shoulders.
Yeah, but too bad. Like, Tina, that was another thing about the controversy. People are wondering why she was not in this one, like, a lot.
Some of it was kind of a controversy, and some of it was just
kind of like, because obviously because of COVID and the pandemic and everything, filming got pushed back, and some people think it may have been because of scheduling conflicts, because by the time they actually did get to film the film, she had already had schedules and she couldn't fit it in. And others think because of COVID restrictions. People don't think it's very realistic, but there's a very far-fetched one that says her character just really wasn't relevant anymore, because it was more about Dumbledore and his, him and Grindelwald. It was more about them. Mm-hmm. And like, even like Newt Scamander and Jacob and them
they kind of take a back seat.
They kind of became like secondary characters in this one. But that, to me, she still was a big enough character that I think she should have been right there with Newt and them.
And, the other thing that they kind of said...
The other thing they kind of said was because she's very pro-trans. And when she spoke out a lot against J.K. Rowling and was not happy about her anti-trans comments and everything. But people are like, then why didn't they cut out Eddie Redmayne? Because he was very much...
I guess she was the most vocal, though. And because J.K. Rowling was still heavily a part of the writing process,
that maybe she tried to like cut her out, but
I feel like she couldn't have written out Newt though,
yeah.
because the movies are based off of the book that he wrote.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah. So I don't know, but again, overall, I enjoyed it. I recommend that you see it because finish out.
If you are a Harry Potter fan,
yeah.
Again, don't. It's 2 hours and 22 minutes, so
it is a long movie, yes. But don't let these controversies, take away from what the whole franchise has meant to you, or what the Harry Potter world has meant to you,
or the hard work that all these people put in to make these movies for us.
Yeah,
because these movies are made for the fans.
Yeah, and I feel like too, some people were kind of wondering what, the storyline, but I feel like so many movies over the past couple years, and probably for a few years to come, because of the pandemic, a lot of them, they had to crunch things up, or they had to, postpone.
Or change the way they
made things. So obviously things aren't going to be the way they wanted them to, and they had to change things, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is.
And I feel like, too, a lot of movies, because politics are such a big part of everything now, that almost no matter what movie you watch nowadays,
they're going to turn it into political.
There's political things, and don't let that discourage you from watching it if you're not.
We just need to go back to just enjoying,
just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah,
a movie about magic. Just enjoy it for the fun ride that it is.
Enjoy the sad moments. Enjoy the funny moments. Enjoy little Bowtruckles and Nifflers and the magic,
cute little self.
Yes, but I enjoyed it. Whether or not
Hufflepuff.
Yes, whether or not they'll make any more, they say. I think this is supposed to be the last one of the Fantastic Beasts series. But like I said, they ended it where you could make another one because Grindelwald obviously he goes over the side of the building and he's just gone. So and they're like, Dumbledore, you need to find him. So they could do another spinoff,
maybe there'll be a new series of movies
where Dumbledore is looking for Grindelwald. I don't know, but there's also rumors that they may make the Half-Blood Prince, which is the aftermath of Harry Potter.
The Half-Blood... no. Half-Blood Prince was one of those. No,
not Half-Blood Prince. It's the... what am I thinking
of? Cursed Child.
For Cursed Child, I'm sorry.
Isn't that what it's called?
Half-Blood Prince is Harry Potter. The Cursed Child, which is, I think it's about... Because my mom has read the book, but we haven't read it.
It's basically... Because, in Deathly Hallows Part 2, at the very end, it's 20 years... Well, it's not. I don't know if it's 20 years later, but it's 20.
It's obviously when Harry and them have kids and everything like that.
And his son that he's putting on the train. Then, if you haven't read the book or don't know about the book, it's about his son that he's putting on the train at the end of the movie,
which is named after.
He's Albus Severus. Something Potter. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I haven't actually read that book yet.
And I think it's also too. It's about him and Draco's son.
Yeah, because Draco and Harry kind of become really close afterwards. So if they make that one, that'll be the whole probably the next spoilers for the Cursed Child book.
Yeah, so that may be the next step. I don't know if that's how they're going to continue the, whole Wizarding
Or
World.
if they are going to make any more movies at all.
Or maybe this just really is the end.
But there's so many...
There's so many ways that they could go with so many different...
not even just movies, because there's the Wizarding World, things at Universal Studios. There's all kinds of online games, and...
They just had the one...
The Cursed Child is a Broadway play, too.
Yeah, there's a Broadway play, and then they also just had the Cup Challenge thing on TV with Helen Mirren hosted.
Yeah, my mind doesn't work today. It's a tournament
houses, yes. And Hufflepuff won. I'm just saying.
Hufflepuff won.
Hufflepuff won the whole tournament.
Not to spoil anything for you, but Hufflepuff won.
So I mean, they may do more of that too. They may do more seasons of that. I don't know, but there's obviously just the latest installment of the Potter or the Wizarding World, and the third installment of the Fantastic Beasts, and
since this video is running very long now.
I'm sorry we ran it on a long time. We weren't expecting this to be this long, but it happened.
But if you like this video,
yes, hit that like button,
hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell so you
know when we post.
Yep. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.